Tony Khan, straight up, no joke, thank you for creating AEW. Thank you for creating a second wrestling promotion. It was awesome that you did it. WWE definitely needed competition. There needed to be an alternative, and no shade at TNA/Impact or New Japan. I actually was a huge TNA fan back in the day, around the WrestleMania 23 time. I judge everything off of what WrestleMania is. That's how I tell time at my household. We go by what was happening during which WrestleMania. Anyways, it's great that you exist. However, please, I'm begging you, stop. You're embarrassing yourself, okay? You're embarrassing yourself. You are about to air footage of CM Punk from his confrontation/altercation with Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, from like months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago. When was that? It was a long time ago in today's day and age, and you're about to air it. Why? Because CM Punk on WrestleMania weekend went on a podcast and said that you didn't know how to run a business. Okay, who cares? Who cares what he said? Who cares what he said? You know, it was on a podcast, dude. It's not even canon to WWE. WWE has taken no shots at you on air. Okay? He's taking no shots at you on air. WWE is leaving you alone. It happened on a podcast, and it was with Ariel Helwani, CM Punk. Unless he's like flat out lying, he really didn't really say anything. I mean, yeah, it does definitely make you sound bad. However, what if you took it as constructive criticism? What if you took what he said and thought about it? I mean, I get it. It's not nice. Yeah, we say we like constructive criticism, but criticism is criticism, and it still kind of stings. He said you were a nice guy. No disputing that, but maybe you do got something to learn. Maybe you do have some things to learn, and this is a learning experience, Tony, for you. I know you're a billionaire. I'm not one of those people like, oh, you got your daddy's money. I don't care about that. You know what? You probably got a lot of good education in the process and all that stuff. You know, you got your daddy's money? Great. I wish my daddy had more money to give me so I could buy a wrestling promotion, you know, so I could create a wrestling promotion. So I'm not one of those people that are just like, you don't know what you're doing because you were handed this money. Nah. I mean, Stephanie McMahon was handed a lot of money, and I think she's great. I think she's a great leader, competent leader, very competent. Shane McMahon, I don't know. I knew he did some stuff outside of WWE, but I've never really seen it. But Stephanie was handed a lot of money. Stephanie was handed a position, and she's fine. So, Tony, I think you could be fine. But I also think right now you're not. I think right now you're not. You're reacting to WWE's CM Punk on a podcast, and you're doing it in a way that just seems so spiteful, so petty, so reactionary. The number 2 guy can take shots at the number 1 guy, right? Because the number 2 guy doesn't have to fear anybody not knowing who number 1 is. The number 1 guy can never take shots at number 2 because why would they? Why would they risk advertising for number 2 and losing fans? WWE doesn't need to say anything about you. And the things they have said were positive. They said, you know, Sting, congratulations on your final match. They brought in some, you know, AEW talent to honor John Cena. There's a couple other things. They actually even did mention one time they mentioned AEW on TV, Sami Zayn. That was kind of cool. But they never said anything really bad about you. Now, you could argue putting NXT directly opposite of AEW was kind of shady. I could see that. That's a fair point. You want to argue that? Okay. But we can now say this is the Paul Levesque era, and it's a new day. It's a new day. Yes, it is. So we need to just calm down. We just need to be the bigger person sometimes. And if you feel that CM Punk was being a big old jerk, maybe you should just keep quiet, because it's making you look bad. Okay, it's making you look bad. What are you going to gain in this situation? Really, what are you going to gain? There's almost zero to gain. I could be wrong. I'm on this side of not watching the video. When I'm on that side of watching the video, maybe I'll eat my words. If so, I'll come back on here and be like, you know what, Tony? That was a brilliant strategy playing that footage. But really, what are you gaining from this? There's nothing other than you looking like just this petty individual that's like, oh yeah, well, I'll show you all this, because it's like, that was like 9 months ago, dude. If this footage needed to be shown, it needed to be shown 9 months ago. Not now, because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Unless CM Punk got, like, knocked out by Jack Perry, it's not going to make CM Punk look bad or anything. It just doesn't matter. What he said, he said. You want to go on Ariel Helwani and dispute it? I don't know. You can let Ariel Helwani ask the questions, and then you can answer honestly. But at the end of the day, it's like, on your TV show, instead of elevating talent, you are going to, or creating storylines, you are going to show footage of a WWE star? Why? And then what about that Edge promo? That Edge promo was just saying, oh, it's just so great to be a wrestling fan. We just love wrestling here. I get to wrestle with my friends. In response to a WWE guy saying that AEW is not a wrestling business, you send out a WWE guy to say, yeah, I signed with AEW because I can wrestle with my friends. Tony. Is that good? And then what do you do WrestleMania weekend? What? Who's your main event? Samoa Joe, a Samoan named Joe, versus Dustin Rhodes, Cody Rhodes' brother? Like, do you see? You're reacting. Stop it. When WWE was losing to WCW, see, now WCW, they took shots at WWE and they came ahead. So there are ways to do it. And then WWE eventually took shots at WCW and they came ahead. So there are ways to do it, but then there are ways not to do it. Remember when WWE lost Diesel and Razor, and then Kevin Nash and Scott Hall shows up, NWO, but WWE's like, we're gonna bring out Diesel and Razor next week. That's what this feels like. And that's, I give credit to Jim Cornette on that. He kind of was like, yeah, that does kind of feel like this. Then what happened? We had Razor and Diesel, fake Razor, fake Diesel for like, what, months? It was so dumb. It was so dumb. And then you had Jim Ross as a heel talking about how these guys are the real deal. No, they weren't. It was dumb. It was dumb. Capital D-U-M-B, dumb. And then what else? Billionaire Ted. What? Who cares? Billionaire Ted. He made fun of Hogan for being old and Macho Man for being old. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I kind of laughed at those, but at the end of the day, it just seemed petty. And it's like, okay, Vince, you thought you should move on. You were wrong. You could have got some more money out of those old timers. You didn't, and it was costing you. You were losing in the ratings, but now just those skits just seemed petty. Now the way to do it right though was when DX tried to invade. Right? That was top notch. When DX tried to invade WCW, that was the right way of doing it. But it could go either way, because then when TNA, when they had the Voodoo Kid Mafia, who was the New Age Outlaws, they tried to do almost the same thing to WCW, and it just completely, nobody cared. Nobody cared. And it's probably because nobody knew who TNA was. And I think at that time, TNA was doing they were doing probably more viewers than AEW does. You just gotta, just be yourself, dude. Or maybe not, a little bit. Your wrestling is a little dangerous. We're not gonna get into all the rights and wrongs of AEW, but you gotta pull it back. You got to pull back some of those, some of your things. It's way more impactful when I see a table spot only one time in a show as opposed to every match. But that's neither here nor there. And Tony, for real, I want you to succeed. I really do. I want you to succeed. It's great when WWE has competition. It's great when wrestlers have options. It's great. Maybe the product, one product isn't for me, but that product is. I just want the wrestlers to be safe, and I want you to stop seeming so petty and it doesn't help. It's ugly. It's not the good kind of, hey, look at me. You have Tony Schiavone on Collision after WrestleMania at like 11 p.m., 11:30, 1 in the morning, saying, oh, we have footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry. Why now? And Tony Schiavone does. That'll put butts in the seats. That was a reactionary bad call, because I hope this isn't a let's put butts in your seat kind of statement that Tony Schiavone just made. You might get a ratings pop out of this, but overall, it's a bad look, dude. It's a bad look. Just stop. Don't stop trying to compete or even topple WWE, but right now you got to do it a different way. WWE doesn't even look at you as competition. If since you love the podcast so much, Triple H literally said, we're up against ourselves. That's what WWE is up against right now. He didn't say WWE is up against anybody. He didn't say any other wrestling federation. He said, we're up against ourselves. We're up against the Attitude Era. We're up against ruthless aggression. That sucks. He doesn't even view you guys as competition. You guys are so far in second place, and you got to do something. You got to do something big. All right, but releasing this footage because of a podcast, that's not big. That's petty. So anyways, guys, please acknowledge this channel. Please acknowledge the subscribe button. Tell me in the comments, are you looking forward to this footage? Do you think this was the right call? Do you think this is good kind of reaction, or do you think it's a petty kind of reaction? Please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. This will not become an AEW hate channel. I actually like AEW. In fact, I almost started this YouTube channel 5 years ago when AEW formed. I was so excited about AEW. I did lose interest. I do try to keep up with it here and there, but their style of wrestling and storytelling isn't necessarily for me, but sometimes they do have gems. I mean, MJF, but regardless, I do really hope they can turn things around and make it happen. I wasn't a WCW guy for the longest time until the NWO came around, and then I saw those luchadors, then I saw Chris Jericho, so right now, AEW's not for me, but I do hold it in high regard and have very high hopes for it. So please, Tony, just, anyways, acknowledge that button. Have a good day.